Hey, glad to be here. My name is Sami, and we are here to present to you a couple of improvements, how we can improve your business. And I'm really glad for this cooperation that we were able to establish with you.
Hello, my name is Olli. Happy to be here on my behalf also. So firstly, Amazon. Amazon is a more piece of art. So how can you make improvements on piece of art? Me and Sami, we looked into your papers and business model, and we came up with a couple of suggestions for your business. How you can improve your business and strengthen your future growth. And next we are going through of those suggestions.
So we made a couple of improvement suggestions for you, and they're highly related to your expansion strategy and capital structure. And we also found, from your numbers, we found an opportunity for development, and this development is related to shipping. But first, the expansion strategy that you have, it's very aggressive, and the aggressiveness needs a lot of capital. And this has had influence to your debt to equity ratio, which is quite high when you consider about your other competitors in the market. And this high debt to equity ratio has also influenced your investors to be a bit unhappy with their investments. They're not getting enough return for it. So basically it's because all the revenue that you get in, you're investing to your expansion. And we need to suggest some improvements considering that. But now is the most important part that we're talking about, the shipping, and how we can save some costs for your company and make you even more profitable. And we're talking about prime users, which are like 60% of your revenue. And this 60% are getting the free shipping, which is costly for you because you're paying for about $6 billion of shipping costs, but you're getting back only $3 billion. So we're talking about a gap which is $3 billion where we can save up some costs. And instead of using the 10% of your sales revenue for shipping, we can improve it and use less percentage because we're talking about big bucks here.
We look up to your balance sheets and your strategy, and we see that your expansion strategy and investing has pros and cons. There's always two sides in the coin, and when you make some decisions, there's always some other results that's resulting from that your first choice. So your strengths is definitely a strong vision where Amazon wanna be. You have already a market leader in internet retailing. You are biggest player in that field. So also you are the biggest player in the cloud computing services, which will be the future of customer experience and customer service. That the customer can do everything in the internet, just like you have offering the opportunity for startups and businesses to start their distribution and logistics choices with low cost. So they're basically paying only when they're using your services, which is really good in their point of view. So definitely you have a strong vision and you are thinking your investments and strategy in a long-term point of view, which is good. So it gets the investors and creditors, they keeping them calm with your long-term point of view. So we definitely see that you should increase the investing in cloud computing services, and you have to stay as number one in cloud computing services. There is already two of your biggest competitors, Google and Microsoft, who are a couple steps back of you, but still you cannot feel comfortable in that situation. You need to strengthen your position in cloud computing services, and we see that as your core strength in your business. So definitely your market position in that field is really good, but still we have to think about a broader scope, and you cannot be comfortable with that situation. You have to keep innovating all the time. And of course, the customer purchasing is really good because of your one-click payment system, which is really convenient in the point of view of the customers. They can make the purchases by clicking one button, and then it's all done, and you're delivering the package to their home and doorsteps. That's really good. But we see a couple of improvements, a couple of targets where you can make improvements regarding expansion strategy and investing. We looked into your balance sheets, and we came up with a couple of ideas of improvements. First, we saw that your liability rate is pretty high, but that's not a big problem at the moment because the interest rates are really low at the moment, and the lenders you can get cheap money from the lenders, and that way the funding is really cheap. But I think we heard some news from the field of the investors that they're getting pretty restless, even though you are creating high revenues, but they still not getting paid in dividends, and they still want to have some revenue back from the investment, and they're getting patience. So we need to give them some positive signs that in the future you're going to pay them dividends, that they will stay loyal for your company. And of course, the long-term, thinking of long-term, your capital structure, the liability, high rate of liabilities in your balance sheet is stressing your revenues. The capital structure is basically stressed by high fixed cost. Even though you are making a lot of revenue, still your turnover and net profit is not that high. So in our mind, the future investing, we have to keep those investing rates high based on our investing strategy. But still, we have to give some incentives for the investors that the revenue will grow, but at the same time, the turnover and net profit will also grow in that way that we can give some dividends for the investors also. So we are thinking about that you should pay some short-term debts back to your creditors. In that way, you can improve the balance sheet. But I think the most important thing here is that you stick to your long-term plan, and that will contribute to your investors.
All right. So when we look at your data and your structure, and where we looked the areas where we can improve your business, we found out that shipping was one of the main areas that needs improvement. The first question we had: how can you improve your shipments? What's there in for you? And then it hit us. We figure out that you have the ability to establish your own logistic network, and by doing that, you can really save up some costs. We can, by establishing your own centers, own warehouses, own logistic systems, you can use the technology that is already available, what the other players in the market don't have yet. There's lots of technology like Uber that is already available. And what I mean by that is, like, we can use couriers as contractors. There's a lot of couriers that are like working as freelancers. And how do we do that? We provide a platform for these contracting couriers where they can work basically when they want and when they have time, which could indicate you having a platform that is going around the clock. So basically, the shipments are going around throughout the day and night, which means that you will gain advantage in this area. And then we were thinking about other aspect of this Uber-style technology, which was we could use normal consumers, people going from A to B, from place to place. And usually when they drive, they have free space in the trunk of their car. And they could pick up some parcels from our warehouses. And there's always some delivery spots along their way where they can drop off the parcels and earn some extra money. For example, just to cover the gas expenses. So that sounds pretty simple and easy to make. And what we also thought about was how do we avoid traffics? How do we make it more leaner? The transportation, how can we make it more leaner? And then we figure out that why don't we use drones? The drones are already here. They can fly. They can go from place to place. This is like local air shipping. They don't have to go from state to state. They can work in local areas. And by this, they can avoid traffic and make leaner transportations. And it could be, for example, it could be connecting with an app that states you that your package is there in your house in 1 hour. So the person can either decide whether he or she is at the house, or he or she wants to postpone it. So that's also a good service for your customers. And how do we implement this? We have to do it step by step. So we start locally from the cities, from the bigger cities where there is already infrastructure for this, where there is enough inhabitants to provide this kind of courier service, where there is enough freelancers who can use our platforms. And we collect data from this. We follow it, how it works. We use the experience to increase the value of this project. And with that data, we can expand first to one state, to be a statewide provider. And then from step by step, we go from state to state, and our goal is to be a national courier service for everyone. By implementing this process, we can save up to $1 billion annually. So we're talking about big cost savings, which directly indicates to your profitability. And how do we implement this? We need to raise some external capital, and we have to take an advantage that the interest rates are low at the moment. They're close to zero. And that's also one of the weaknesses of this project, since we have to concentrate it in the long term. We have made a financial plan for you where we explain the financing of this project and how can we be sustainable when we are implementing this. And I think it's a good plan to follow in this case. But then there's another weakness in this project, or let's say a challenge. It's the competition. We have to go against the big, huge clients that we are working with now. And I'm talking about United Parcel Services, so it's called UPS, and FedEx. They're huge. They already have the infrastructure for this. But what they don't have, they have the experience, they have the infrastructure, they have everything regarding transportation, except they don't take an advantage of available technology. And that's the niche for you. That's the niche where you have to hit. You have to make a full service package which differentiates Amazon from the other two big giants. And by doing this, I'm sure we can gain the market share also step by step, little by little. But in the end of the day, we will save you some money and you will be more profitable. Let's go.
So, the key factors for your successful expansion strategy will be stable capital structure. You have to keep in mind that how much debt you take and how much you keep equity in your balance sheet. So that way we can keep the equity ratio and debt ratio in that level where it should be at the moment. So in that way, you have to have also keep in mind the factors that you have to invest in the new warehouses, the logistics network. That first you have to have the nationwide infrastructure for the logistics. Then you can gather the data, how it works, and then we get the important data for the future expansion of the logistical work. So we want to thank you for your time. My name is